For more than 27 years, the ACLJ has been fighting for freedom and liberty in the United States and around the globe. Chief Counsel Jay Sekulow has argued 12 times before the United States Supreme Court, including several landmark cases protecting religious and constitutional freedoms. The ACLJ is active in the courts, in Congress, and in the public arena.
And joining me now is Jay Sekulow, the Chief Counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice.
The Jay Sekulow live radio program reaches over 1,000 stations nationwide and streams live on Facebook to more than 4 million users daily. With a weekly TV program and an active social media presence, the ACLJ has created a powerful media strategy to continue the fight for freedom and liberty.
Nearly 300,000 people in 2 weeks. If we can do that in a couple of weeks, imagine what we can do in 6 months. Imagine what we can do in a year. Imagine what we can do if we stand together.
Your support makes a critical difference. So thank you for joining with us. Thank you for standing with us as we seek to proclaim freedom and liberty here in the United States and around the globe.
Live from Washington, D.C., Jay Sekulow Live. Phone lines are open for your questions right now. And now, Chief Counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast. Well, the Supreme Court just moments ago heard oral arguments in a case called National Institute for Family and Life Advocates versus Becerra. That is, Becerra is the Attorney General for California. National Institute of Family and Life Advocates is a pro-life crisis pregnancy center, and the case was argued, as I said, just the arguments just finished up a little while ago. Our friend Mike Ferris from the Alliance Defending Freedom argued the case. It's important to us, both on the substance, is that we defend pro-life pregnancy centers around the country, but also because of this, Living Well Medical Center versus Becerra. This is a case that is the identical issue of this compelled speech. The crisis pregnancy centers having to refer out for abortions and post these signs under what they call the FAIR Act. So we have a case pending this. So whatever happens in this particular case, in the case National Institute of Family and Life Advocates, impacts our case directly. This is a situation, Jordan, I think you need to walk through with everybody what this law that we're challenging was actually doing.
Yeah, so this law, it's called the FACT Law, and it's the 2015 California Reproductive Freedom, Accountability, Comprehensive Care, and Transparency Act that compels all licensed covered facilities that provide, quote, pregnancy services to inform their clients that the state of California, quote, has public programs that provide immediate, free, or low-cost access to abortion, that this information must be placed in a conspicuous place, so right up front, handed out, or digitally disseminated to all clients of those facilities. The penalty for failing to comply with this law is a $500 fine for the first violation and $1,000 per subsequent violation. It also opens up the clinic to more liability from the state of California if there were multiple offenses. So pro-life pregnancy centers would have to comply with the law. It exempts, interesting enough, other medical and unlicensed non-medical facilities, such as abortion providers and hospitals and other healthcare facilities.
It really targets it targets pro-life messaging and pro-life resources. That's what it does. All right, let's go ahead and take a call. We don't always do this, but our phone lines are jammed, so we'll try to take a call here in the first segment of the broadcast.
All right, let's go to Adeline calling on line 2 in Maryland.
Hi, Adeline. You're on the air.
Hi. I wanted to make a comment. Also, I used to live in California. We had moved from Maryland to California. I had two children, was pregnant with it. They told me that I was pregnant when I got there, and so they tried to tell me to set up for an abortion, and I told them I did not want an abortion because I already have 2 kids and I have my husband. I'm a married woman. And they told me, come back the next time. So they gave me an appointment, and I got there only to find out that they had set up abortion. They had scheduled me for an abortion.
Well, look, I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. This is Planned Parenthood's business. And the amount of money that Planned Parenthood still gets from the federal government, which is our taxpayer dollars, is still pretty breathtaking.
More than $500 million, Jay. That's with a B. More than $500 million from federal taxpayers. It supports their $1.5 trillion revenue stream. $1.5 billion revenue stream. Jay, look, we talked about this earlier in the year. They believe they have a constitutional right to those taxpayer dollars because when we were trying to defund them, that was essentially the argument that they made, that it was unconstitutional to pull taxpayer dollars away from them. Jay, there's no constitutional right for a pro-lifer to support this kind of practice. But you know what? It's the same mentality that makes them think a pro-lifer should have to advertise for their business as well.
But you got to win the hearts and minds of the people. And that's really the goal here. And that's what these crisis pregnancy centers do. Folks, we got a lot more to talk about. Busy day at the Supreme Court of the United States, and your support of the ACLJ allows us to engage in these fights, not just at the Supreme Court of the United States, but around the United States and around the globe. So your support makes a big difference. We're in a matching challenge campaign, which means anything you donate to the ACLJ, we get a matching gift for. Let me encourage you. There's a number on your screen. You can call that or simply go over to ACLJ.org. That's ACLJ.org. Any amount you donate, we get a matching gift for. You can call us at 1-877-989-2255 or ACLJ.org.
It is a critical time for our nation, and the American Center for Law and Justice is on the front lines, defending life and liberty, engaging the issues that matter most to you and your family. Whether it's working to protect Americans from the dangers of radical Islam and the persecution of Christians, to defending life at the U.S. Supreme Court, to protecting your religious and constitutional freedoms, we could not do this work without you, without your support. And now your support can really make a tremendous difference. For a limited time, you can participate in the ACLJ Matching Challenge. If you make a gift now, it will be doubled. $25 becomes $50. A $100 gift becomes $200. Please stand with the ACLJ right now and call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or go online at aclj.org. Thank you for your support.
Hey, welcome back to Jay Sekulow Live. This is Jordan Sekulow. We are taking your phone calls about a very important case at the United States Supreme Court. It affects 3 of our clients. If you're watching on Facebook and Periscope, I'm holding the brief that we filed on behalf of those clients in my hands right now. These are all pro-life pregnancy centers in California, but I will tell you, in states like Illinois, we've seen this throughout the country, New York as well, where you've had either state or municipalities try to pass laws and regulations that require only pro-life pregnancy centers to advertise for abortion. And you hear me right there. It sounds like something that should be absurd, but yet you have to fight it all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Why is that? It's the abortion industry you're fighting, and they get treated differently than any other business, than any other kind of nonprofit, than any kind of service provider or medical provider or provider of services than anyone else. And we call it abortion distortion. And they think that they get, because of that, they can then have these burdens of speech on everyone they don't like and not have to take on burdens themselves at all. So they fight every kind of regulation, not things to shut them down. We're talking about regulation just to get them up to like health codes. No, that violates the Constitution to do that with them. So we are taking your phone calls, 1-800-684-3110. We ask people to call in, Logan, with their experiences with organizations and these abortion providers like Planned Parenthood. And we've got calls coming in. Let's get right to them.
Yep, let's go to Dee, who's calling in North Carolina. You're on the air.
Hi. Back when I was a teenager, I got pregnant. And at that time, I went to Planned Parenthood seeking information. They sent me to they called her a crisis pregnancy counselor. So that would make you think that, you're pregnant, you don't have any income. They're going to help you. They're going to give you resources. All she talked about was abortion from right out of the gate. And one thing that really sticks in my mind, and I'm a registered nurse now, so so I have a really intimate knowledge of physiology and pregnancy. She told me, oh, well, it's so early in the pregnancy. It's not even a baby. It's nothing but a lump of tissue. It's more like a tumor.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the key, Harry, that we know, and Harry from our senior policy team, but also an attorney, is a law professor. And so we're talking to Harry Hutchinson. I mean, Harry, we hear this story after story. I mean, they try to put themselves out, Planned Parenthood, as that abortion is not the number one service they provide, that they do all these other things, and yet right out the gate, immediately, that's the first question everyone gets asked. And even if you're not there for that, if you are pregnant, that's what they're pushing on you.
Absolutely. And so we live in an environment where the abortion rights industry has essentially captured politicians. And the politicians, in response to being captured, are trying to expand the profitability of the abortion rights industry. California is a perfect example. With the passage of the Reproductive Freedom, Accountability, Comprehensive Care, and Transparency Act, California politicians have demanded that pro-life centers subsidize, in essence, the message of the abortion rights industry, and this constitutes a violation of the First Amendment.
Yeah, but it's also interesting, Harry. It's a one-sided argument because they only go after the pro-life side. We call it viewpoint discrimination. The idea that the government comes in and says, well, we like this speech, so we're going to allow this, but we don't like this speech, so we're not going to allow that. That's exactly what this is.
Absolutely, and it's totally unbalanced. And in addition, the state of California is attempting to crowd out pro-life speech because they have a preference for the abortion rights industry.
All right, we're taking your calls at 1-800-684-3110. Logan, you want to take another call?
Sure, we go. Laura in Colorado on line 6. You're on the air.
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Hey.
Well, in 2002, I found myself pregnant at 36 years old. I had a 17-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old daughter. Their father had left us. And I actually worked in the medical industry, and I scheduled to have an abortion. I went to Planned Parenthood in Fort Collins, and I had to have an ultrasound before the actual procedure, and the young girl that was performing that ultrasound was all of about 23, maybe 24 years old. And she was measuring things and doing things, but I couldn't see the screen, and I said to her, I would like to see what you see, because what I want to know is it true that it's just a mass of cells? I was 10 weeks along.
Yep.
And I said, I want to know, is it a baby or a mass of cells? And she said, I'm not allowed to discuss it with you. You'll have to talk to the doctor performing the procedure. And I was pretty relentless and told her I had a right to know. I was paying for this. And I just pressured her until she finally looked at me. And I said, look, just answer the question. Is it a baby or is it a mass of cells? And she finally turned the screen and she said to me, it's a baby. It was a baby.
Because you can't argue it. I mean, especially now with the technologies. I appreciate, Laura, you calling in. But listen to the Attorney General from California, Xavier Becerra. This is what he says about it.
We're simply trying to make sure the recipient of healthcare information or advice understands exactly what he or she is entitled to in terms of services and that the information is accurate.
I guess then you have the Planned Parenthood putting up signs about alternatives to abortions and here's where you can get them. But apparently that's not the case. So with all the high piety to what they're trying to do with information, ask the state of California how they feel about a law that says, before an abortion, we should have an ultrasound performed so that the woman carrying the child can actually see what she's carrying.
And the Planned Parenthood has to perform it at their facility and tell people what they see in the ultrasound and how far along in the development they may be. I mean, and that's the thing. They would fight that out over years.
Yes, they do.
And again, just trying to make these facilities meet basic ambulatory care, not hospital, ambulatory care. They fought that out from Texas, remember? So they don't want to even be regulated like healthcare providers. So that Attorney General in California acts like these abortion providers are heavily regulated medical facilities when in fact they do not meet the same standards as ambulatory care. That's emergency care.
Right.
They don't meet that standard under the laws of most states. because they fought in court and won to say that they don't need to meet that standard. So they hold everyone, they think that they should be treated different from everyone else, and that the truth is their funding and regulation of abortion is not what is constitutionally protected. But they have got this idea through the mainstream world that you can't do anything to them and they can do whatever they want.
So, and then you go back to the funding issue. I know it's a huge frustration for our members of the ACLJ and the folks listening to this radio broadcast or watching us on TV or watching on Facebook or Periscope. This is very frustrating for folks. This funding
issue. Because
issue.
it only grows year after year, Jay. And in fact, there was a new government accountability report that came out just a few weeks ago that showed even new revenue streams that we had previously not known about, because they have their tentacles in so many different programs. I mean, the big ones are Medicaid reimbursements and Title $10. But Jay, we know this. I mean, there were subsidies in the Obamacare law as it was set up. Every single law that moves through the political apparatus of the abortion industry here in Washington, D.C. is out in force trying to get a piece of that. And I'll just tell you, today's good evidence of that day. If you walk outside of our office right now, you will literally run into the political apparatus of Planned Parenthood and NARAL. They are canvassing the streets for this case, and when legislation moves on Capitol Hill, they're here for that as well.
No question about it. All right, Logan, let's try to grab another call before the break here.
Let's go to Nicole on line 3.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi. I just wanted to call in and kind of comment on what Stan had said earlier about the adoption themes. I was 15 when I went in to have an abortion, or even just counseling. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was pregnant and had no idea about Planned Parenthood or what they stood for. I was given only options for an adoption or for an abortion. And then the test was done, and they found out that I was 6 months pregnant. And so at that time in 1994, you weren't allowed to have an abortion at 6 months pregnant.
Right.
And thank God that I didn't, because, today I successfully have a 24-year-old police officer as a son with a 4-year-old granddaughter. But the adoption option was only given after I was 6 months pregnant, because I was told I couldn't care for this child. I had no means. I wasn't even an adult. And so since the abortion wasn't the option, adoption would be the only other option for me. And so, God's been good to us, and he's provided for us and helped us along, even when we didn't know that we needed that help. But, Planned Parenthood is more wicked and evil than I think people know.
Well, look, first of all, I'm glad you chose the issue of or in your case, keeping the child. But adoption is a viable alternative for some women in a crisis pregnancy center, and I'm pleased. I can't even believe I'm saying it, that Planned Parenthood actually made that offer. Sounds like it was a long time ago. The fact of the matter is they would not. I suspect that's not in their list of referrals today. And of course, they're not having a law that says they have to have up where you can have adoption referral or where you can have a crisis pregnancy center. They want Harry, very quickly, it's a one-way form of censorship.
Absolutely. It's basically aimed at expanding abortions and expanding the profitability of the abortion rights industry.
Folks, we got a lot more to talk about. Busy day at the Supreme Court of the United States, and your support of the ACLJ allows us to engage in these fights, not just at the Supreme Court of the United States, but around the United States and around the globe. So your support makes a big difference. We're in a matching challenge campaign, which means anything you donate to the ACLJ, we get a matching gift for. Let me encourage you. There's a number on your screen. You can call that or simply go over to ACLJ.org. That's ACLJ.org. Any amount you donate, we get a matching gift for. You can call us at 1-877-989-2255 or ACLJ.org.
It is a critical time for our nation, and the American Center for Law and Justice is on the front lines, defending life and liberty, engaging the issues that matter most to you and your family. Whether it's working to protect Americans from the dangers of radical Islam and the persecution of Christians, to defending life at the U.S. Supreme Court, to protecting your religious and constitutional freedoms, we could not do this work without you, without your support. And now your support can really make a tremendous difference. For a limited time, you can participate in the ACLJ Matching Challenge. If you make a gift now, it will be doubled. $25 becomes $50. A $100 gift becomes $200. Please stand with the ACLJ right now and call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or go online at aclj.org. Thank you for your support.
Today was a big day at the Supreme Court of the United States as they heard oral arguments in a case involving crisis pregnancy centers, and we've been behind those. Our friends at the Alliance Defending Freedom, Mike Ferris, actually argued it. Mike's a good friend of mine. We have a case attached to it. It's called Living Well Medical Clinic versus Becerra. It is being held pending the disposition of this case. So if Mike was successful today in the main case, which is the National Institute of Family and Life Advocates case, if he's successful there, what the court will do is grant our cert petition, vacate the so they grant, vacate, and remand. They'll grant the cert petition, vacate the lower court decision, so get rid of the Ninth Circuit decision, and remand it back to the district court to issue an order in compliance with the Supreme Court of the United States called a GVR, but it's an actual cert grant, and then the case moves forward. So we've got a lot riding on it, and the pro-life movement sounds like it had a good today. All right, last segment of the program here, so let's go to as many calls as we can.
All right, let's start off with Linda in Tyler, Texas. You're on the air.
Hey, Linda, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, Jay. I just want to thank y'all for everything you do.
Sure.
I ran into a deal with Planned Parenthood and my daughter. She was 16 when she got pregnant, and a coworker, I think, of mine was telling me about Planned Parenthood, how they give you prenatal counseling, and if you want to go, get a doctor, they'll help you with that. So I sent her to Planned Parenthood one day when I was going to work, and I got home and she was in tears saying that they told her she had to have an abortion. She didn't have a choice because she was 16. And I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. So I went up there with her the next day, and I asked for the person who told her that. And she said, well, that's what our protocol is when you're underage, you don't have any insurance, you don't have a job, you just don't need to have a baby. And so we advocate for abortion. And I'm like, I was told that y'all give prenatal counseling. And they said, oh, no, ma'am, we advocate for abortion. And I'm like,
look, I mean, Linda, I appreciate you calling in and sharing the story, because the truth is, I mean, this is the evidence. I like putting out evidence then. And the fact is, no matter what you want to say, is that this is their business. I mean, they're in the business of abortion.
It's heartbreaking, Jay, but about 330,000 pregnant mothers come into Planned Parenthood every year. Jay, only about 1,500 of them are actually provided with prenatal services. I'll tell you what that is. That's an accident in their business model. It is something they don't drive towards. It's just an accident. Some of the people, and you hate to put it this way, but if they fall through the business model cracks, their business model is to fund every single pregnant mother that comes through their doors into an abortion.
And when you're an over $1 billion a year industry alone, just Planned Parenthood, not other abortion clinics that are part of this industry, but just Planned Parenthood, and you've got nonprofits whose only job is to advocate for you, like groups like NARAL, Pro-Choice America. So those organizations, all they do is support pro-abortion policies and regulations and fight pro-life groups, not even just fighting restrictions and regulations on abortion, but actually taking the fight to pro-life organizations as well. You have to treat them as if you would a big business operating in Washington, D.C. They dole out millions in campaign contributions at the federal, state, and local level. So you've got that, like a big business would. They're operating in that political realm with financial contributions to campaigns. They are lobbying Washington with tremendous firepower. Again, $1 billion a year behind them, and they are tax exempt. And then I think third, when they do go to court, they are able, because they have billions in assets to utilize, they hire giant law firms to go after pro-life pregnancy centers, which are small and operating off of donations, and they're not receiving millions of dollars a year from state and federal government grants.
This is, this is fundamentally what the real problem is here. It's a one-way. It is a one-way ticket, Harry, in reality.
Absolutely. So there are several questions that come to mind. Does Planned Parenthood, for instance, care about the prenatal health of women? Does the state of California care about protecting consumers and expanding the amount of information available to poor and low-income families? Does Planned Parenthood and NARAL support a woman's access to all medically necessary prenatal procedures? And I think the answer is no. the only medical procedure they believe in is abortion all the way down, and it's very likely that Planned Parenthood and NARAL cannot shake their origins in the eugenics movement, and it's sad to see the state of California support the policy of eugenics supported by Planned Parenthood and others.
Yeah, and that's, well, look, I mean, they're the ones passing, it's California where a lot of these laws start. All right, let's go ahead and take another call.
Cindy's calling California on line 6. You're on the air.
Hey, Cindy.
Hi there, Jay. I want to thank you for representing the pro-life pregnancy centers in California.
Yep.
I actually work in one, and we recently, late last year, we had a client that came in who was livid because Planned Parenthood would not provide an ultrasound for her so she could find out how far along she was so she could take the abortion pill. Well, she came to us, and of course, we want them to make informed choices, so we provided an ultrasound for her showing a 6-week, 4-day fetus. Then she was still left our office undecided, but we gave her all of the information about parenting, about adoption. And then she came back when she was about 16 weeks and decided that she was going to continue her pregnancy. But what she told us when she first came in the door was that Planned Parenthood refused to provide an abortion for her since she wasn't already abortion-minded. And my thought is they're discriminating against women who choose to continue their pregnancy. They say they're pro-choice, but they only want one choice.
Well, they're not pro-choice. I mean, the whole pro-choice thing is they're pro-abortion. I mean, and they don't like it when you say that, but that's what they are. I mean, Dan, they get all these slick campaigns, but the reality is that's exactly where they are.
The data shows conclusively and time again that when you provide real information to women, it leads to a choice for life.
Well, that's going to do it for the broadcast today. As I said, we're in a matching challenge campaign. Today we talked about the Supreme Court of the United States. Your support of the ACLJ allows us not only to go to the Supreme Court, but to go to court around the globe defending freedom, liberty, and justice. Your support makes a huge difference. And as I said, we're in a matching challenge campaign, which means any amount you donate, we get a matching gift for. Someone donates $10, it becomes $20. You understand how it works. ACLJ.org is the easiest way to do it. Just go over to the website at ACLJ.org, or you can call us at 1-877-989-2255. That's 877-989-2255 or ACLJ.org.
It is a critical time for our nation, and the American Center for Law and Justice is on the front lines, defending life and liberty, engaging the issues that matter most to you and your family. Whether it's working to protect Americans from the dangers of radical Islam and the persecution of Christians, to defending life at the U.S. Supreme Court, to protecting your religious and constitutional freedoms, we could not do this work without you, without your support. And now your support can really make a tremendous difference. For a limited time, you can participate in the ACLJ Matching Challenge. If you make a gift now, it will be doubled. $25 becomes $50. A $100 gift becomes $200. Please stand with the ACLJ right now and call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or go online at aclj.org. Thank you for your support.